Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Just a quick announcement before we start.
Join us on February 17th at Our Secret Spot here in Sydney for the Pendulum Party.
We are extremely excited about this. It doesn't matter your sexuality. If you're heteroflexible, bisexual, homoflexible, hetero-accepting, homo-accepting, at all, everything, straight, bi, it doesn't matter.
Bi-curious even?
That's right. Even if you're a little curious, you've always wanted to know what it's like, you'll find us there. So it's going to be a place where you can safely experiment with your sexuality.
Come out and join us. It'll be a great time. There will be a link for tickets on our Twitter feed as well as our website, www.bytheby.com.au. And you can also get tickets from Our Secret Spot's website, which is www.oursecretspot.com.au, and also from Red Hot Pie.
Exactly, and we're really excited. There's going to be glory holes, there's rooms to play, there's the spa, massage tables, and a lot more. So come and see us on February 17th.
So I was in the shower, I was cleaning my ass and making all shirts all sparkly, spanking clean.
I'm not the funny one, I'm the pretty one.
Cock shots. I just checked myself out.
Candles, music, wine, and then lube up and get on top.
The glory hole's like a dick theater. I've imagined your family.
Which means your pants had better come off. Mama needs playtime.
We're not sluts.
We just love love.
Hello, this is Mrs. Atom.
And this is Mr. Atom.
Hello, you're listening to us on By the By.
What up?
Yeah, we're
Welcome
back
back.
again.
Yeah, we're like,
Yeah.
that plague that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
Love. Yeah, so we have, this is a first in a series, hopefully a series, of what we think are important subject matter on Swinging 101.
Yeah. And basically it started out because we had some vanilla friends who decided that they wanted to open up their relationship and try swinging. So they asked us a whole host of questions.
Heaps of questions.
Yes, heaps. I love that word. So they asked a lot of questions, and we went...
Most of them good.
Yeah, they're quite good. And so we wrote a few of them down and kind of have the gist of the conversation here, and we're going to share it with you guys, and hopefully it'll help if you're thinking about maybe starting to do some swinging, or if you're new into the lifestyle and want to maybe learn a bit more, and or if you're just kind of curious as to what goes on, even if you're not wanting to try it yourself.
Yes. So the way I'm going to sort of approach this is, I know way back when, in the beginning of C&D's podcasting at Swinging Down Under, they were looking for a Yoda couple. And I never thought that Mrs. Adam and I were Yoda couples, or a Yoda couple. But I'm thinking now we are pretty experienced. We've done a lot of the different things. We've had a lot of things. So so teach you we will. I'm gonna get so much shit for that.
Yeah, you are.
It's like my beatboxing, my Yoda.
Wait, can you do Yoda beatboxing? Are you even going to attempt that?
I want to attempt it. I really do, but I can't do it without laughing. I'll try to at some point interject that. I know, right? Scene.
Serious face.
Serious face. Force. That's all I got. Wiki, what?
Wow.
These are not the droids you're looking for. That's all I got.
That's pretty special.
Thanks. So yeah, you can find my album on iTunes. Also, it's hot as balls in here, so we have the doors open, and it just rained, and it's spring in Australia, so all the birds are singing, and they all want to get fucked, like we all do.
Yeah.
So if you hear birds outside fucking, just deal with it.
Yeah. Enjoy.
Yeah.
And pretend it's you.
Pretend it's you. All right, Mrs. Atom.
Yes.
Lead on, McDuff. What do we got?
All right. So, there was, I guess the place to start is with the decision to actually open up the relationship and start swinging. So when our friends were going through this, they asked us a lot of questions about it, and how do you decide to take that leap? And when someone asks, should I not, what do you tell them? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
That's a great question. So it's different for you and I because our origin story, which I'm sure we'll get to at some point, but we started off in the very beginning, open. So we don't have that experience that a lot of our friends do. And when I say a lot of our friends, I would say at least 90% of the people that we have met in the lifestyle, they didn't even look at opening up their relationship and swinging until they were at least 7 years into it. Many of them were in the greater than 10 years married.
15 to 20.
Yeah, and they had been together for even longer than that. So it's hard for me to admittedly, it's hard for me to say from a point of view of a newbie or somebody who's been married 10 years, let's open our relationship. But the advice that I would give is you need to take a really hard look at yourself before anything else, and say to yourself, self, is this really what I want? Is this something that I want? Why? And then I guess the next question is, why do I want this? Because I think, like everything else, our imagination tends to make things a lot better and or a lot worse than the reality of it is. So if you think this is going to fix all your relationship problems, it's not. It like these people who have children to fix their marriage, it's not going to fix your marriage. Just because you're not getting sex at home and you think that you can go out and find somebody who will actually have sex with you, that's not what swinging is about. At least not for us, and then for the folks that we've met along the way, that's not what it's about.
Well, you've always said that it's a magnifying glass.
Absolutely.
So if you have cracks in your relationship, it's just going to magnify those. Yeah. But if you have a good solid foundation, a strong relationship, then it's just going to enhance that and make it all that much better.
Yeah, and I stand by that. I am a firm believer, and we've seen friends who have had cracks become canyons, and we've seen friends who have solid foundations become these stalwart fortresses of a relationship, and it's nice to see that. I know for you and I, we started out with a good solid relationship based on open communication, and I think that swinging and the open relationship has just strengthened that. But yeah, it's the other thing that I would advise people is, again, when you look at your relationship, if you have trouble as a couple communicating about things like who takes out the trash or who picks up the kids after school, or you feel like there's an imbalance because you're the one that always cleans, or your partner is lazy and sits on their ass and doesn't do anything but watch TV, if you can't have open conversations about that, this is not the relationship for you. Because again, that's just going to magnify those lacks of communication. You have to be able to communicate about, I'm going to call it the easy stuff. And the easy stuff is home stuff, and what does our home look like? You have to be able to openly communicate about that before you can openly communicate about your feelings for having sex with somebody else. Because as much as you and I say it, for us, sex is like hugging. I mean, it's an expression of love. And it's not like that for some people. Some people take it very seriously. Sex is, they put it up on some pedestal of some sort of closeness that you can't achieve, that only certain people should be able to achieve it. But it's just sex. Relax.
Relax and enjoy.
Do I downplay it too much? I don't know.
I don't know. But it is interesting because if you look at like I said, we've been open from the beginning, but when you look at all of our friends, a number of them were together for a very long time first. And, our advice was just open up that conversation, share things with them, watch porn with them.
Yeah.
Whatever you're interested in, watch that kind of porn with them and be like, hey, what do you think of this? What do you know? Does that turn you on? Is that interesting to you? But just kind of slowly bring them into it, and keep in mind that you may have been thinking about this for a very long time, but it's a new idea to them.
Yeah.
So be patient and give them time to get used to that idea. But then we also have, on the other hand, friends who, get drunk at New Year's, and a female starts flirting with another female, and the male's like, hey, what do you think of that? Like, why don't we do that a little more? And then that's kind of how they got the conversation rolling.
Yep.
And so it's whatever it takes to get the conversation rolling for you. Just like you said, just be open about it with your partner. And be patient, give them time, because like I said, you may have been mulling this over for a while, but might take them a bit to come around to it, and they may not.
Yeah, I think watching porn is probably a good idea as well. There's a lot of really shitty porn out there.
Yeah.
But there's actually some really good porn out there as well. And if you as a couple can watch porn and you see, swinger porn or, porn where there is a large group of people and you say to your partner, hey, that looks like fun. Would you like to try that? And he or she goes, actually, yeah, that does look like fun. That opens that conversation of, you don't have to pounce on it then, but you're planting seeds that later you will reap what you sow. There's so many jokes in there. I love it. It's like punalicious. Ooh, just gotta chill. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, you are planting those seeds that you'll harvest later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so with our friends, they talked about it for a while, and they asked a lot of questions to us about it, and then decided that they wanted to go ahead with this. So then the question is, how do you meet people?
Yeah.
And, I mean, for most people, online is the best way.
Yeah.
Because you'll bump into people here and there. Admittedly, it's, the more populous the area you live in, the easier it is
Absolutely.
to bump into people or to go to swingers clubs and meet them or whatnot.
And we've ran into swingers at the bars.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we run into, like, our local pub.
Yeah.
We know that there's a small subset of swingers that go there.
Yeah. And recently we found another one who was just there by chance.
Yeah.
And
we struck up a conversation with her, and
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so you will find it. What is it, like 8% of the population now?
Yeah. I mean, you can, but it takes some searching and some sussing out, and it's not something you bring up first thing in a conversation with a new person.
No.
but you can, and like I said, there's swingers clubs, of course, but online is the easiest and best way to really meet people.
Yeah, there's a lot of, depending on your location, there's a lot of online websites that are designed for couples to meet couples, and we'll scratch the surface tonight, but at some point we'll go through and really sort of delve into this in depth, probably in our subsequent Swingers podcast.
Yeah.
But in Australia, at least, I know the big ones are adultmatchmaker.com, I think .au as well, but and then redhotpie. .com.au. Both of those are designed for couples to meet couples. I know Fuck Buddy has an Australian website and a UK website. I don't know about an American website. I'm sure there are American websites.
Cassidy, is SDC American or what's that one?
No, SDC is Asian.
Is that Asian? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear C&D screaming at us.
I know,
from here.
probably, yeah.
But yeah, so there are websites in your.
We'll figure it out more before we do that podcast.
Yeah, that's right. We'll actually research it then.
Yeah.
That way you actually know what sites to look at. But, we found some of our closest friends and partners off of OkCupid.
Yep.
The illustrious Sandy and Danny.
Yes.
We met off of OkCupid. I met Sandy, and then I know he was out by, looking as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was...
Because all four of us had separate profiles.
Yeah.
And you and her met up, and then, we of course all connected and whatnot. But yeah, so there are websites like Red Hot Pie that are designed for couples to meet couples, but you can also use just the regular dating sites as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Tinder, we've seen people on Tinder.
Yeah.
Field, I think, is great. And Field is only getting better. It was Thrinder, which was a better name, but we're not going to judge because of stupid lawsuits. But now that it's Field, we've met some really good quality. Our unicorn came through Field. We have a manticore that
Outlander.
Yep, he came through Field. So Field is growing as a place to find people.
Right.
And I'm really impressed with it. But
I guess that's an interesting thing too, is to talk to your partner about whether you want to find a third to join in or whether you want a couple.
True. Because
Field is designed more for thirds, but there are couples on there looking for thirds, and we've met couples through that as well. But it's all complicated. But it is, I guess, something to think about when you're thinking about opening up the relationship and whatnot. Typically.
What are we looking for?
Yeah, because typically, when you think of swinging, you think of couples that you're playing with. Well, but it could be that maybe a third is what you want or need to start with.
And I think it's a good segue to talk about the sort of the different levels and what you're looking for. So if you're looking for another person, you're either looking for a single female or a single male to join a, let's say, male-female couple. Forgive the heteronormativity, but so you've got, a person that's coming into your couple. I think most guys, the fantasy is the 2 women and 1 man. I don't think many guys have actually fully thought that through. It with your regular partner, it can be easy to learn what gets her off and keep her happy. With 2 women, that's it's like juggling. It goes up exponentially. It's not twice as hard. It's 3 times as hard. And the more women you add, the more complicated it gets. So just keep cognizant of that. When you're done with one lady, usually there's one. Yeah, I mean, done. You've orgasmed, and you're like, now I can rest. There's another woman that's usually there waiting to be sated.
Unless the women like to play with each other.
Absolutely. If the women like to play with each other, that's great.
Yeah.
But even then, you've got to be able to.
It's still a bit of a juggling act when you have 3 people, because at any given time, someone is going to be somewhat left out.
Yes.
Maybe not completely, but they're going to be a little more sidelined. So
they're not going to be focused on.
Right.
And sometimes that's difficult as well. Think about that. You watching your partner, being intimate with somebody else. That's not you. I usually take those times to go fill up wine glasses, get some water, maybe take a few pictures, check my tweets. It's like a rest for Mr. Adam. He's like, I can take a break. Let these 2.
Well, and a lot of times if there are only 3 of us, it tends to be a more extended play session. So it is nice to have a break at some point. And all of us, because it does switch around usually with who, whenever we're playing, we tend to, most of our 3s are either bi or bi-curious at least. And so it is nice to be able to switch around and everybody gets a break at some point.
Yeah.
So when you're going over many, many hours, you have a chance to get that glass of water or
take a rest, rehydrate, and move on.
Yeah.
But then you have couples playing with other couples. Those are typically separated into soft swap or full swap.
Right.
Those are words, phrases, definitions that you'll hear quite a lot in the community. Soft swap is most commonly, but not always, kissing and oral sex. So if we're soft swap partners, that means that I will go down, or I'll kiss and go down on the female partner of the other group, while Mrs. Adam goes down on the whatever. But it's just oral and kissing.
Right.
Whereas full swap means that there's nothing off the table.
Penetrative sex.
Yeah, penetrative sex. But there's so many variations on that. We've heard people talking at the clubs saying that kissing isn't allowed, which makes me think of that stupid movie with I can't think of the movie. Pretty Woman. Makes me think of Pretty Woman. I never kiss on the mouth. And seriously, kissing is for me is most of the foreplay. If we don't kiss, I'm not interested in you.
Yeah. And I get that some people view kissing as a lot more intimate, and so that's why they don't want it. But at the same time, it is a big part of foreplay. And
which is another funny thing, because we've run across couples at clubs that kissing is too intimate, but you can come in my mouth.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That to me is like, you need to go back and rethink your life choices. I am going to judge on that one.
But that also might be the difference in people who are only looking for other people to have sex with, and then those who are like us, where you want to have a friendship relationship as well.
Absolutely, which is I was going there as
well. Sorry, I jumped ahead.
No, you're absolutely right though. We've come across folks that are we call them one and doners. That means that we meet, we hook up on that night, and then that's it. You never hear from us again. That if and we'll talk about this probably more in the apps and meeting people online sort of web podcast, but the amount of vetting and work that goes into finding people, that could never be a one and doneer just
Yeah.
because it is, you're cultivating these relationships online for quite a while. And to think that you throw all that away after one time of having sex is, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just too picky.
Unless you just go to a club and you
Yeah.
hook up and then that's it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But so and that's typically the different levels that you'll run across in
Yeah.
both clubs and online.
Yeah.
Those peoples.
But as most of our listeners know out there, we tend to like to cultivate a friendship and actually like the people that we're
Yes.
sleeping with.
We're sociosexual.
Yeah, we want to have a deeper relationship.
Yeah, we don't want. Yeah, we're not one and doners.
No.
We only play with you if we have some sort of interest in you.
Yeah, if we actually like you.
Yeah.
And I think, once you meet people online and you've decided, okay, we really like these people, now we need to meet up in person. Then there's a whole heap of other discussions and things that need to happen from there.
Yes. Before that.
But
communication wise.
Yes.
So how the question might be, how do you do it? How do we communicate? Like 4 people communicating at once.
Yep.
We are adverse to giving our phone numbers out immediately. It's not because we don't trust people. It's just because I don't want to get fucking texts all the time. I get texts through work. I get texts from friends. I get texts from family. I get texts from Mrs. Adam. I don't want texts from people I might be hooking up with. So we tend to use, and I think a lot of people use Kik.
Mm-hmm.
The great thing about Kik is, I wish we got paid for Kik. The great thing about Kik is, it doesn't matter what operating system you're on.
Right.
So it works for Android and Apple phones. And all 4 of you can be on at once, and it's username based. It's not phone number based, so you're
Right.
not really giving your phone number. So it's pretty private. But so that way, all 4 of you can be communicating at once. And if one person's ignoring it most of the day, that's fine. The other 3 can go on, and then person 4 can go through and see what's going on.
Yeah, and I like it because, especially at the beginning, Mr. Adam does a lot more of the talking than I do. And like you said, during the day, it might be harder for me to check my phone or whatnot. But I can still check in when I can, and I can at least follow the conversation and get the banter and see what's been going on, back and forth. And then chime in when I can. And of course, after we meet people, I tend to then come into play a lot more.
Pun intended.
Sorry. No, but just, because I tend to, once I meet someone and have, more of a personality with it, which also that banter back and forth helps a lot as well.
Yeah.
Then that kind of gets me going and gets me turned on a lot more. But it is nice, even if one partner can't be as vocal, at least they can see what's going on and feel a part of it that way as well.
Yeah, you're included.
Yeah.
You're being included. So, sorry. So like you said, we have decided that we are going to meet somewhere.
Yes.
Where do you meet? Where do we meet? we meet at the Crowbar in Crow's Nest.
Yeah.
But,
occasionally somewhere for coffee, but usually if it's a drink, it's going to be Crowbar.
yeah, if it's a drink, it's going to be...
Yeah.
We like to go... And this goes back to a really wonderful person that at some point I'd love to have her on the podcast, but she lives in the States. Beautiful young lady. But she was a scientist, and she said that she would always have first dates at the same location because it was a location that she knew the quality of the food, the quality of the drinks. So that was one variable that she wouldn't include as part of judging her first date.
Yeah, you're not swayed by ambiance or anything.
So you don't go to a new restaurant and be like, oh, the food is shit, therefore the date is shit.
Yeah.
Or you don't go to a new restaurant and be like, oh my God, this food and drinks are amazing, therefore this date is amazing. She would go to the same place, always meeting these different guys. And so, but it works for us.
Yeah.
We know the quality of the bar. We know we like the bar staff. We know they'll leave us alone.
Yep.
And we know once the date is done that they'll give us their full opinion of what that person, what they thought of that person or people.
Yeah.
Which is great.
It is kind of funny.
So shout out to the Crowbar. But yeah, it's, that's what we like to do.
And the other thing to think about too is if you are just meeting for drinks, depending on what time of day you're meeting, think about whether you need to eat first or not.
Good point.
Because if you're meeting for later drinks, let's say 8 p.m. or something, well, you want to eat a bite first because you don't want to get stuck there and then be starving.
Yeah.
So kind of think about where you're meeting and when, and whether you need to, even if it's just a snack, just have something in your stomach before you go, so you're not like ravenous the whole time, or you get drunk a lot faster because you don't have anything in your stomach.
It's funny because what you're saying, I'm sitting here going, well, that's common sense, but common sense is not nearly as common as it should be. And you make a good point. And more than once, Mrs. Adam and I can tell you a number of times that we've gone out and said, okay, 2 drinks. At tops, we're going to be 45 minutes.
Yeah.
We'll meet the people at 6. Well, 45 minutes, we'll be on the bus coming home by 7.
Right.
That's our goal. And then at 10:30 p.m., we're like, we should probably get a bus.
Yeah.
Because we both have work tomorrow. It's been 5 drinks.
Yeah.
It's been great conversation. We really like the people, and so that's something that more often than not happens. You get caught up in good.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in good conversation. It's easy when you find people that you're like, oh, these are smart and funny people that you want to talk to them. It's fun to tell your stories.
Yeah. For sure.
I'm watching her pour wine
Sorry,
in
guys.
the most awkward way possible.
Well, that's because I just didn't want to stand up to do it, so I was trying to do it while sitting.
That's my girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. So plan ahead and always hope for the best, plan for the worst.
Yeah.
And in this case, hoping for the best is, an hour. Plan for the worst, 5 hours.
Yes. And then, of course, another thing to consider, a very important thing to consider, is what do you wear?
What do you wear? Clothes. Clean underwear.
Yes, clean underwear. That's key. For sure.
It's funny because I always wear clean underwear, and I'm always hoping for the best, so I always bring condoms.
Oh yeah, I always have condoms.
Even though we
don't play on the first date.
We don't play on the first date, but you never know when somebody might like attack you in an alley, and you're like, okay.
Oh wait, we need protection. Yeah.
So what do you wear?
I tend to go for. Of course, it's very weather dependent, but I try to go for something that's at least sexy. So if it has a low neckline, particularly in the summertime, that's easier. #cleavage. Yeah. So, just something that looks sexy. I mean, think about, especially if you've been in a relationship for a very long time. Hopefully, you still dress up for your partner, but, maybe not. But just, pretend like you're a 16-year-old on a first date again. And just, you want to look good. You want to look your best.
You went on dates when you were 16? I didn't get, the first date until I was, I don't know, 20.
Pretend you're young and on a date again.
I love it. That's great. Pretend you're 16.
Yeah.
God, you blossomed early.
But, you want to wear something sexy, but you also want to be comfortable. Because you don't want to be, tugging and pulling and, sitting, I don't know. You don't want to have to just be uncomfortable all night long. So
I'm gonna caveat that and say, for me, I like to wear something that I feel sexy in.
Yes.
Not something that is necessarily what stereotypical sexy is, but it's something that I know fits me well, that I'm comfortable and confident in, that I feel, and I think longtime listeners will appreciate this phrase from me, that I feel masculine in.
Mm-hmm.
I like to feel masculine.
That's true, because if you feel confident and sexy in it, then you're going to exude that, and you're going to have a bit more of a swagger. And,
so I always wear, there's 1 to 2 different pairs of jeans that I like to wear.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got this really nice snap-up white shirt, kind of a casual, but still got a bit of dress to it. And it's got blue accents, and I always feel confident in that shirt. That is my first date shirt. I'm pretty sure that at our bar, if I go in blue jeans and that button-up shirt, that they're all like, oh, look who has a date.
First date. Yeah.
So that's what I like to wear.
Mm-hmm.
I don't wear a t-shirt under it, so it shows, and it's a light enough white that you can see my tattoo through the shirt, which me personally, I think that's sexy. I like to see a tattoo through the shirt. Excuse me. I don't know if other people think that, but I don't know.
I like it.
I don't care. It's for me.
I like it.
So thank you. Aw.
Is it for me too?
It's for you too.
Okay.
Everything's for you.
No.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I would say you wear. Wear something that you're comfortable in but confident in. Something that makes you feel sexy. And we all have that stuff. I even even underwear that that nobody's gonna see. You're only going for drinks. You're not gonna play, but still wear your sexy underwear because they may not know, but you know, which will then help them know. You know?
Right. Yeah.
Oh God, I'm hilarious.
Yeah, and the other thing too is if there's a particular body part that you're really proud of or that people compliment you a lot on, show it off. Wear something that accentuates that.
What if it's your clitoris?
Well, I was gonna say I'm thinking more like eyes or your shape or breasts or something. I don't know, but
like, my God, you have a beautiful clitoris.
Well, I mean, you could wear.
Because you're always complimenting my testicles.
I know.
So should I wear what should I wear? That pair of my chaps?
Yes.
Wear my assless chaps?
Absolutely.
Next first date, white button up and assless chaps.
All right, we need a new first date. I'm going to get online right now.
I love it. Oh, I think it's funny that you're going to get online.
I can wear my crotchless panties,
Oh, absolutely. See, there you go. Crotchless panties and chapless apps. God damn it. Assless chaps. We're losing control of this podcast.
Yeah. One of the other things to discuss before you go out with your partner is your expectations for the date, because we keep saying you're not going to have sex with them, but maybe some people want to.
Yeah.
So discuss that with your partner as to what are your expectations. Do you just want to meet the people and like us, see if there's any kind of chemistry, if you like them, or do you just want to be like, hey, you're pretty, let's go sleep.
Yeah, let's play by ear.
Yeah. So I would say be sure to have that conversation with your partner before you go out, because it's a lot easier.
Yeah, yes, that is. It's funny, there's a lot of I just kicked the table. There's a lot of preparation that goes into this.
Yeah.
And I know we've heard podcasts from other couples that talk about the amount of personal
physical
maintenance,
prep.
physical prep, good word, that goes into it. But for us, it's more mental maintenance, I think, than physical maintenance. Because I think for us, the physical maintenance we do pretty regularly, whether or not we're going to play with people. I do a lot of my physical maintenance, not for even you. I do it for me.
For yourself, for sure.
So, but to talk about your expectations is a good idea, because you don't want to go on a first date with somebody and your partner be like, oh, we're just going to have drinks, and you're like, oh, I'm just going to rip their clothes off, because that's going to get really awkward really fast.
Yeah, that is.
Which you said that made me think of something, but now I've lost my train of thought. Bye-bye, train. Okay, so
I think it's also good to, before you go out, keep in mind that throughout this, especially if you're just starting out, that you are each other's safety nets.
Oh, and so that's where I was going. Look at you, reading my mind.
Wow.
Beautiful and intuitive.
It's like we're in sync or something.
I know.
I mean, I kind of prefer Backstreet Boys, but
Oh,
no, I'm just kidding.
I was just about to say like the band. That's great. I love it. You're my perfect other.
Anyhow, back to what I was saying.
Yep.
But yeah, so keep in mind that you are each other's safety nets, and so no matter what happens, that your partner has your back. And so if you get there and something just really turns you off, feel free to say, hey, look, this isn't for me. I don't like something's weird, something's not right, and do the same for them. Have that same respect for them. But it's also helpful to know before you go, to have I'm going to say a safe word, a phrase, a look, a touch, something that if you're sitting across from each other, a way that you can communicate. If you either need a timeout and you need to say like, oh, I'm going to go to the restroom, or I'm going to step outside for a moment, and they're going to come with you, and you can have a conversation and see what's going on. Or if something is like really, really wrong, just be able to communicate that to them instead of sitting there in a really bad place.
Yes, and just waiting for them to have to go to the bathroom or whatever.
Right. It's good to check in with each other routinely.
Yeah, and I think having
even if it's nonverbal.
You can have a safe story.
Yeah.
It's a safety word story where you're like, oh, let me tell you about the time our cat fell asleep in the trunk of the car, kind of thing. I mean, you start the story and your partner knows at the end of the story, we need to.
Yeah.
I need to have a conference. For Mrs. Adam and I, we always sit on the same side of the table, and it tends to be a double or triple tap. Just I put my hand on her leg or she on mine, and if we, we need to communicate, it's just a quick tap 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 tap. And that's how we know that the other needs to have a conference with us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's
that's really essential, especially if you're just starting out, because it can be overwhelming. It can go really well, or it can be just kind of a bit too much, depending on how you approach it.
And we've seen people in clubs have those moments where it was their first time in a club, and they have a bit of a freak out moment. One of them has a bit of a freak out moment, and then they both go to the bathroom, and they go to the bathroom together. They confer, they have a decompression, and then they come out, and everything's okay again. Because you just need to know that you're safe. You have somebody who's your safety net, and that should be your partner. If that's not your partner, it goes back to what we said at the very beginning. We probably shouldn't have been doing this to begin with. So if your partner isn't your safety net, don't do it. Don't do this. Yeah. This isn't. I don't think swinging or open relationships is what you need. Yeah.
All right.
What's up next?
So we're at the table with a new couple.
Yeah, we are. Hi.
We're dressed all sexy like. We're having good conversation.
What do you drink? Look, I'm gonna be. Sit back, folks. Mr. Adam's gonna get a little judgmental again, and I don't mean to be judgmental, but it's my natural state, so I'm going to do it anyway. It is absolutely okay to order Prosecco, white wine, red wine, anything neat, or any classic cocktail. When I say a classic cocktail, I mean a gin and tonic, an old-fashioned, dark and stormy, at all.
Martini,
yes.
Gin and tonic.
I already said gin and tonic. That was my number one.
Sorry, I wasn't listening.
That was number 2. Jeez,
I wasn't listening.
Number 3, listen to your partner. But don't order something like a sex on a beach. Don't order a shot.
Yeah, shots are bad.
Shots are bad. Those are the bad idea bears jumping out. Beers are okay. But don't make it a wanky beer. It's funny.
Would you like to define a wanky beer?
Heineken is a wanky beer. Corona is a wanky beer. I'm sorry. And for the people in the States, if you're ordering a Bud Light with lime, we are not going to be... you are not going to see either of us naked. Let's just put it that way. I know I sound horrible and judgmental, but I know what I like, and I know the type of people I like. And the type of people that I like don't drink that kind of stuff. At the same time, don't go to a bar and order water. I'm just going to say that.
Unless you're one of those people that has the allergy thing to alcohol. Where you turn like bright red and whatever.
If you're Asian.
The Asian gene.
Yeah, if you're Asian, then fine. But
lemon lime bitters.
There
something.
You go. See, that's at least something. You go to a bar, you order bar drinks. You order something. I don't know. If even people who are being responsible and driving can still have one drink.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm pretty harsh on. I judge people by what they drink.
No. I know you do.
And I judge harshly on what you drink.
And you can drink the girly drinks and the fruity stuff later, but not on the first meal.
Absolutely.
Especially if you're sitting by the pool.
On date 2 or 3, order your espresso martini.
No.
But that is not a first date drink. Ugh. But I digress. Please continue.
So I was going to go into advice for the conversation.
Oh, yes. So you've ordered your drink.
I mean, not necessarily like topics of conversation, but more just the general feel of it.
Yeah.
Because like what we told our friends is, they were, I'm going to say stressing for lack of a better word, but they were, asking, how do we approach it? What do we do? And we were like, look, just approach it as if you're making new friends. Don't assume that they're going to sleep with you.
Yes.
Because they may not.
Yeah.
They may not be interested in you whatsoever. I mean, you hope so.
Wow.
But you hope so, but just approach it as if you're making new friends. I mean, generally, you've chatted with these people a little bit first, and so you at least like something about them. And just approach it as if you're continuing, you're continuing that friendship, and you're wanting to build on that, and you're wanting to, just like you normally would. It's not, don't worry so much about the sex part.
I agree.
And just focus more on the people and the friendship and their personalities and liking them and making that connection.
Yeah. Much like prom night, you're making awkward conversation that you hope leads to sex.
Yeah.
And
and like
I say awkward conversation. I don't even really mean that. Because like you said, at this point, you've probably vetted these people a little.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
There's, something about them. Either what television shows they like, what books they like to read, what music they like to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
You've talked about something. So let that kind of build. Like you said, you're making friends. That's what you're doing. We often qualify our friends as either pants on or pants off. If you're a pants-on friend, that just means that we always keep our pants on around you. Mm-hmm. If you're a pants-off friend, you're still a friend. But we sometimes get naked, have sex, and lay in bed and talk.
Yeah.
We want to be able to have that sort of feeling with you, this kind of friendship thing.
Right. Yeah, and don't try too hard. Just be yourself. Because if you try too hard, it's generally not going to come off very well.
Yeah, be yourself.
So just relax and be yourself.
It's so funny. It's like,
I mean, it seems common sense, but
it does.
But sometimes people get worked up, and
it's not a work interview as well.
No.
And we've seen people get so nervous and stressed out, and it's just like, guys, relax. It's okay. Yeah. We're all here to have fun. We're all here just to chit chat and make small talk.
And keep a positive attitude, I would say too, because nobody wants a negative Nancy. So stay positive.
Did you know the number one killer of cats is feline AIDS? Yeah, don't do that.
Thank you, Mr. Adam.
That was Debbie Downer.
I know.
Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Anyway, don't do that. Don't, keep a positive attitude, because, we've seen people at clubs that are, which leads to the next point. Do not bicker with your partner.
Oh my God, yeah.
You know what? This is the time to let it fucking slide.
Mm-hmm.
Because nothing, for us at least, is a bigger turnoff than watching a couple bicker. And it is even worse when they get up and leave the table to bicker.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah. Let it go. Address it later.
Yeah, exactly. Be like, oh, I'm going to make a mental note of this, and we're going to talk about this later. If you cannot sit for an hour to 2 hours with your partner and not start a fight with them, you're not going to get in our bed. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
You'll never see us naked.
And we've been on dates where one partner was very negative and even derogatory towards another.
Yes.
And that's not a turn on people.
Yeah. Don't put your partner down. God, we've seen that. Oh my God. If you ask the question, would you like to party? Do you guys like to party? And I didn't realize this. This means drugs. Hashtag white boy grew up in a small town. And they say no, let it go. That's fine. I don't care if you're into drugs. That doesn't bother me. But let's not keep persisting with it. And I don't think you are going to be the one that convinces me. I'm going to stick back with the don't bicker with your partner. Don't put your partner down.
Yeah.
Self-depreciating humor is so much better than partner-depreciating humor.
Yeah. And be sure to flirt with the other people.
Yeah.
Flirting is wickedly important. That's like the pre-foreplay foreplay.
Yeah, it's true.
But we say to approach this as if you're making new friends, but you want to flirt and have like sexy friends,
Of course.
And if it's been a long time, if you've been married for a while and you're just getting back into it, well, it might take some time, but you'll pick it up. It's like riding a bike.
It is. I agree with that completely. And you should be flirting with your partner anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
So, if you've been married, I don't take the excuse of being married for 10 or 15 years saying I don't know how to flirt with my partner.
Because if we look at many of our friends that have been married for a very long time, they're
still flirting with one
flirtatious,
another. Yeah. And the whole, And
it's a big turn on to flirt with each other as well as the other people.
And it's a turn on to watch a couple flirt with each other.
Yeah.
That just shows that after, X number of years that there's still this kind of passionate. They're passionate people.
They still have chemistry.
Yeah, and that's important. And flirting isn't hard.
Yeah.
Flirting is a furtive glance, a smile, a quick touch on the arm or leg. It's a snarky remark. It's well-timed humor. Whatever you're comfortable with. And you don't have to be a funny person, so you don't have to do the humor, but you can do the smile at the right time, or a quick glance, and then be the first one to look away. It doesn't have to be convoluted or complex to be flirting.
Yeah.
Flirting, for me, watching somebody, flirting is when I can tell that person is really comfortable with themselves and the situation, that they flirt without even thinking about it. That's what I think.
That's true.
It's confidence. That's what flirting is.
Yeah.
At least from my point of view.
Well, and confidence in your relationship and your partner and
in
the
whole situation. The whole
Yeah.
situation. You're comfortable and you're confident, and that's
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with self-depreciating humor. But at the same time, don't go, I'm a horrible person.
I was going to say, at the same time,
you don't want Eeyore.
Keep it to a minimum. Yeah. Some is okay. You don't want it to be constant, and every time you open your mouth to be self-depreciating.
Yeah.
That gets old.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, so it is complicated, but you can do it. We know you can do it. We believe in you.
Yeah.
I'm sort of thinking we should do a flirting class, but
Maybe.
I don't know how we would teach it. Anyway, what else is over there on your list there, beautiful lady?
Well, we can go one of two ways.
Oh, yes. Yes, we can. And typically we go both ways. Which ways do we have?
When the date goes well and when the date goes poorly.
Let's do the second one first.
Okay. All right, so when the date goes poorly.
All right, so the date goes poorly. We've had these dates.
You go through the date. It's fine. It's acceptable. It's whatever. You're not going to bail early. But at the end of the day, you're really just not interested in playing with these people. Or maybe they're not interested in playing with you.
Absolutely.
We've had it both ways.
We have had it both ways. We got out of a date once, really luckily, because the bus was running early.
Yeah.
And we're like, this is the last bus that we can catch to get home. We need to catch this bus. Thanks a lot.
Right. And this was on a school night, and we had said from the beginning, because we met them quite late in the city to begin with, and we said, okay, because we wanted to meet earlier, but they couldn't. And so we said, that's fine, we'll meet later, but we're on a schedule because it's the last bus we can take home. And so we fortunately had that timetable already set up, which is a good way if you're not really sure to do it, because you can always say, you know what, we'll take a cab.
Absolutely.
But if things are going well, but at the same time, you have that preset schedule, so if it doesn't go well, you've got an out.
The way I'm looking at this is, let's go, you either have kids or you don't.
Yeah.
If you have kids, these people may not know the age of your kids at this time.
Babysitter's an easy one.
Babysitter's is a simple one. And if you've got the babysitter for the 3 hours and you want to start with an hour with this couple, you say, look, we have a babysitter, but only until 9 o'clock. Yeah. And then when the date's going great, you text or call the babysitter and say, hey, you don't really do this because you've already got it for 3 hours, but you got them for 3 hours. But then you can just say, look, we've extended our babysitter. It's a little white lie that it's not intended to hurt anybody. It's sort of it's your safety net. Mm-hmm. So I think a babysitter is a simple one.
Yeah.
If you have a pet, the dog has to go out. The cat something has to happen with the animal. So you have this animal as a safety net. If you don't have either one of those, you can have a meeting in the morning.
There's something.
A work thing. There's always something that you can come up with.
Just set your limits and make it known to begin with.
And make it a little white lie.
But
don't make it convoluted.
Yeah, exactly. And also make it something that's easily stretchable if things are going well.
And the other side of it is, you could be, if you're brave enough, and we've done this before as well, we say from the very beginning, we'll meet you for an hour. Mm-hmm. And then we'll reevaluate after an hour.
Yeah.
And so you go and you meet the people for an hour, and 55 minutes into it, you either go, well, this has been a great night. Thank you a lot. it's time for us to go.
Yeah.
Or if the hour is going well, you go, oh my God, this is great. Do you guys have something going on? Would you like to stick around for another drink or 8?
Which happens more frequently.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with a little white lie to control your future. And there's also absolutely nothing wrong with the truth to control your future. If you go into it and say, look, we have an hour, that's what we're going into. And I'm not saying this to my partner. I'm saying this to the other couple. We'll meet you for an hour. And then you could say, after an hour, we'll reevaluate.
Yeah. But we're having a really good time. We really enjoy your company. We'd like to stay longer if you're able to. Yeah. Or if not, let's meet up some other time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for us, even the bad dates, after it's over, you do the obligatory kind, oh, it was great to meet you. We'll be in touch. If you hear we'll be in touch, it means you'll never hear from that person again.
Right. And it also, wouldn't hurt to send, which is sometimes hard to do, but to send a text, or if you leave it on that note to say we'll be in touch, it wouldn't hurt to send a text and just say, we really enjoyed the night, but I don't think it's going to work between us.
Yeah,
or something
absolutely.
like
that.
And you can say that to them at the time,
Yes.
but if it's hard for you to say it, at least send the text. At least give them something.
Yeah. And I've gotten that text from somebody that after a first date, she said, it was great to meet you. You're an interesting person, but I don't see us ever meeting again. And I looked at that, and immediately I was like, oh. But at the same time, I was like, oh.
But you still respect them.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Because I thought the exact same thing. And I actually texted her, because I was typing her the text at the same time. I was like, that's excellent. Honestly, I was typing the exact same thing. I really appreciate your honesty.
Yeah.
And she said, responded with, good luck out there. And,
yeah, absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with
Don't take
doing
it personally.
That. Yeah. It's...
Because there's so many complexities that go into a relationship, and you've said it many times, Mr. Adam, is that when you're trying to get 4 people then to get along, and, not just coordinating schedules, but actually getting along and being interested in one another, it makes it infinitely more complex.
Oh, absolutely.
And
not infinitely. Mathematically, it's not infinitely, but it is more complex, but only when I like logarithmically.
Okay, a lot more complex.
Logarithmically.
Sure. Yeah, so don't take it personally. Yeah. Because there's many more fish out in the sea.
Absolutely.
It might take a while to find them, but they're out there.
They're out there. And
patience.
And they'll be honest.
And
there's nothing wrong with honesty. And if you can't be honest, then you don't need to be in this lifestyle.
I actually think that the honesty too is a lot better than just saying, don't ghost somebody, don't lie to them, because especially depending on where you live, you may run into them again.
Yeah.
At a club, at a function, who knows? But you may come across them again at some point. And if they know at that time that, you already met up and somebody, one party or another, wasn't interested, it's not a big deal. It is what it is. No, there's no hurt feelings. There's nobody says, hey, whatever happened? I thought we were going to, there's none of that. It just, everybody knows where they stand. And I think that's a lot better place to be.
Takes out the awkwardness.
Yeah.
So that's what happens if it goes bad. If it goes well, we like to make plans that night.
Yeah. Go ahead and set another date.
You set another date. This is going great. Oh my gosh, what are you guys doing in the next 14 days? We need to pick out a date that we can do something. Sometimes we book strictly a play date, and sometimes we book a date where we might go to the zoo, we might go to the museum. And
there's always, if it's a date, there's always the option on our part that there may be play later.
Yes.
And so it just depends on the situation and the circumstance and how interested the other party is.
Absolutely. And if it's a play date, typically we'll have them over here to our place. We always feel more comfortable in our own little world, so we bring people into that world.
Sometimes we go to their place, but it usually tends to be here. Yeah.
If you're not comfortable having people over to your house, why are you having sex with them? That's my first question. If it happens to be a kid thing and you have children at your house and can't get them out, book a hotel in the city, book a hotel somewhere.
Unless the other couple can host. Yeah. But and then, that's situational though.
And my opinion is if you're booking a hotel that you're going to stay in, whoever asks them out on a date is the person that pays for the room. If they really fight about it, sure. But my thing, I would always be like, well, you get it next time, because that's booking a third date in the future. I mean, you're assuming the sex is going to be at least fair. Right. But, worst case scenario, you're out a room and you got laid. So in a best case scenario, though, you've now got this kind of rolling cycle of play partners.
Right.
So, yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that's why I'm sticking to it.
You were on a good roll there.
I did, but then the ball stopped.
No.
I mean, but there's nowhere else to go. I mean, if it's a good date, make plans for another date.
Yeah.
Always be polite after the date and send a follow-up message.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for tonight. I had a lot of fun. Insert in joke that you made that night. Something like that. Just you're
it keeps that flirting going and keeps the lines of communication
that's
open.
part of the flirting. I think is that if you insert an in joke, or even if you don't, if you're just that kind of open communication with people, that's what people want. People want to be talked to or with. So keep the banter open, keep the communication open, and plan for your next one. And don't be offended if they don't immediately respond. That's the other thing. Kick is bad because you can see a message has been read, and you're like, why aren't they responding?
But you don't know what's going on in their life, and it could be that maybe they saw it quickly, something came up, they had to do something else. Maybe they just don't really know quite how to respond. They may still be processing everything.
Absolutely. They need to debrief as well.
Yeah, because we always have a debrief after first dates, after any date, after any play date especially, but we always have a debrief, and we kind of go through, what did you think, how do you feel, blah, 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 just all the usual check-in types of things. And we talk a lot about it, and it usually happens fairly soon after the date or the play date, but it doesn't always. It may be the next day.
Yeah. So there's been many times that if we're in a cab, we'll
Especially
start
if it's
talking
late
about
at night.
it. Yeah. If we're in a cab, we'll start talking about it. If we're on the bus, we never talk about it. Once we get home, it depends on how exhausted we are. If it's been a late night, we might say just the quick, that was a fun night. And then, the other will say, yeah, that was great. And then we crash or have sex and then crash. And then we wake up in the morning and we go, all right, what did you think?
We have our take-back sex.
Our take-back sex, absolutely. Even when we don't have sex with a partner, we have take-back sex.
Yeah.
Or have sex with new partners. Yeah.
But we do always check in and just, see what the other person thought, what they liked, what they didn't like. Is it something you want to do again? Is it someone you're still interested in? So if you don't get a response immediately, don't fret about it.
Yeah.
Give them time. They may need, especially, if you're new to it and they're new to it as well, it can kind of be a bit overwhelming.
It can be
you may
confronting.
need time to kind of absorb and think about it and figure out, where do I want to go from here? Is this something I want to continue with? Or do I want to go maybe down a slightly different path? Or is this path good still? And, it might take some time to work through that and figure it out.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I would suggest if you have some thinking to do and some feelings to work out, to tell them, I, enjoyed the night, blah, 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 whatever, but I need a little bit of time to kind of process. I think it's good to have that out there at least, so that way they're not like stressed or worried or whatever about it and thinking, oh my God, I did something terribly, horribly wrong. But at the same time, if it's a day or so, I wouldn't worry about it. If you need a week or more to process and to kind of figure things out, at least let them know.
Yeah, it goes back to the give what you would hope to receive.
Yeah.
So, like Mrs. Adams said, if you need to decompress and talk about it with your partner, then do that. But let them know, we really had a great time. We've got a busy week ahead of us. That doesn't mean that just means you have a busy week. It can be work, it can be school, it can be communicating with your partner.
Yeah.
That's what it can be.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But give what you would hope to receive. Because if you put yourself out there on a first date and you say, I'm not saying you're investing a lot into this person or these people, but it is nice to have some sort of response that, when you put yourself out there and say, hey, I really liked you, I want to talk to you again, and then you hear radio silence, that makes you start to question yourself. So it's polite. It's, it just makes you a good person to say, look, I'm going to be quiet for a while, and there are people out there that aren't text people. They're just not digital people.
We have a few partners that are like that.
Outlanders like that. Yeah. You message him when you say, hey, let's meet this time, on this day. And he responds, awesome. And then we don't hear anything from him. No. And then the day of, we go, are we still on for today? And he responds, absolutely. And then when we see him, it's like no time has passed.
It's great, yeah.
He's open, he's animated, he's communicative, the sex is amazing, and then it's texting, radio silence. Yeah. I respect that. But he at least responds. Mm-hmm. You ask a question, he gives you an answer. Yeah. You don't have to be, William Faulkner. You can be a Hemingway. And anybody who gets that reference goes up to the top of our dating list. Right there. Ooh. Faulkner versus Hemingway? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Team Faulkner right here. If you're Team Hemingway, GTFO. But yeah. Do you have anything else you want to talk about tonight? Or do we want to go?
No, I think that's a good first introduction. That went through a lot of the questions that we had from our friends when they were first starting out and trying to figure out how do you, navigate through starting this. So we'll have other bits and pieces, other podcasts later about it, going through specific events and specific times.
We'll definitely talk about more the online stuff.
Yes.
We have a whole podcast planned about your profile, first messages, meeting people online. Mm-hmm. We'll also talk more about clubs. I know we've done reviews of clubs and our experiences of clubs, but we'll also do a sort of...
Because we had a lot of questions from them on that.
Yes.
So I think
Holy shit, this is our first experience at a club.
Yeah.
We'll talk a lot about that as well.
Yeah.
But just a few sort of final things before we get to our question. For me,
mm-hmm.
I would say communication. I know I always say that, but it's funny how, ironically, nobody fucking listens. When talk to your partner. Talk a lot to your partner. This is something that can and will shape the definition of your relationship. It might make it amazing. It might make it terrible.
Yeah.
But before you step off that cliff, make sure you're wearing a backpack that has a parachute in it, and not one that has silverware and last week's luggage in it. You want to make sure that your communication is open.
You want to make sure that your partner has your back and you have their back as well. Yeah.
And I go back to, if you can't comfortably talk about the mundane, boring shit with your partner, then you won't be able to talk about the exciting, illustrious shit with your partner. That's my advice.
I like how it's all shit.
It is all shit. It's all shit. It's all good. It all shit. Anyway, I have a question.
All right. What is it?
This comes from a long-time listener who we like very much, mm-hmm. In the Twitterverse. Mm-hmm. He asked, I'm assuming it's a he. Probably shouldn't judge, but from the name, I'm assuming it's a he. When first getting into the world of swinging, mm-hmm. Would we suggest starting with strip clubs mm-hmm. or swingers clubs? Mm-hmm. I think it's a good question.
It is a very good question.
And it sort of leads into what I would consider almost part 2 of this, swinging 201.
102, 201. Which one?
201, because we're going into year 2, and you don't do... What is it? Now I'm all confused. Anyway, damn it, woman, don't do that. What would you say?
So, my gut reaction would be a swingers club. But we'll come back to that. Because I will say that the only time that I would suggest, or I'm going to say condone, going to a strip club when you're thinking about opening up your relationship with your partner is if either one of you is not necessarily comfortable being around naked people. A lot of people have body image issues. Now, granted, a strip club's not necessarily going to help that because
No,
they're all
it's
like
not.
perfect looking people.
I was going to say that.
But at the same time, if you just need to get comfortable being around naked people, you know, you yourself not naked, but just seeing that and just being in that kind of environment, then sure, a strip club is fine. Also, because in some places, particularly more rural places, strip clubs are more prevalent.
True.
And so if you just kind of want to feel sexy and get into the sexy vibe, then sure, a strip club is fine to go to. You know, I spent a lot of time in strip clubs.
That's my girl.
It's a business, and those girls aren't there because they're necessarily interested in you. They're there to make money, and you have to keep that in mind. And so, you know, if you're just looking at it for the sexy vibe and to be around, you know, more naked people, then sure, that's fine. But if you're looking at actually swinging and looking at meeting people, and you know, you're wanting to explore the open relationship side of it with your partner, then definitely go to a swingers club, because you're going to meet more like-minded people there. You're going to meet people who have a similar interest and similar path, I'll say, to what you're wanting to go down at a swingers club. Doesn't mean you have to play. We'll get onto that whenever we talk about the whole intro to clubs type of thing. But you don't have to play just because you go. Again, it can be a way to be in that sexy environment and just to meet people and talk to them and feel out. Everybody does things differently. All of our swinger friends, we all do things slightly differently. And so you can feel out, you know, what do they do? What do I like about what they do? Or what would I do differently? And you can talk about that with your partner as well to define where you want your relationship to go. So ultimately, I would say a swingers club. They're not as frequent, I would say, in the U.S. particularly, unless you're in a big city. So it could be harder to find. If you have to travel to get to one, book a hotel room, stay the night, make it a sexy thing. You know, go to the club, come home. You don't have to come home with a partner. You can just come home, you and your partner, but you've been in that environment, and you're both should be at that point feeling good about yourselves. And, you know, I would say just make it a whole experience. Make it a night.
Well said.
That's my answer.
Damn, girl.
What do you have?
Well, I tend to agree with you on, like, I think 98%, which is really rare.
That is rare.
I know, right? You know, I look at swingers clubs as, I look at strip clubs as, you know, if it's on the equivalent side to porn. It is very much a vanilla way to sort of get into a world of nudity, because it's safe nudity. You know, you're paying these young women to take their clothes off, so you are not going to gain anything out of this, but maybe a further understanding of what your partner finds attractive.
Right.
That's really the only thing you're going to gain from this. You're not going to hook up with anybody. You're not going to, you know, but the problem with that as well is that I have never left a strip club and felt better about myself.
That's a good point.
And I don't mean that in an ugly way. It's just that I look at the people around me, and I look at the people who go to the strip clubs as well. And even when I've gone with partners, and I've gone with multiple partners, but I always leave, and I always feel a little dirty, for lack of a better word. And it's not the women. It's definitely not the performers, because the performers are great. But it's those other people there, because most of the other people tend to have there's a negative connotation to them. And I've known enough guys that go to these places only to objectify the women, which I absolutely hate. And I think that's part of the thing, is I go to a strip club and I see these men that are doing nothing but objectifying the women, not appreciating the skill. Now that we're doing pole fit classes,
yeah.
I know how fucking difficult it is to do what they're doing. And I look at that now. I want to go back to a strip club and just to watch the art of it. You know, but you see that and always leave feeling a little dirty. Whereas swingers clubs, again, and we'll talk about this, as Mrs. Adams said, you don't have to play. You can go and just, it's like a, you know, it's a specific place that you go and you meet people who are of a specific mindset. And some of them will want to play and some of them won't want to play. My advice would be swingers club.
Yeah.
And like you know, make a weekend of it. You know, if you live in a small town where there's not a swingers club within 3 to 4 hour drive, or God forbid you have to fly somewhere, go to New York City. There's 6 that we know of in New York, which we will be to in January.
Yes.
I know, right?
So excited.
A new swingers club each night. Epic. But go to these, go make a weekend out of it. Make it a trip focused around your sexual relationship.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use New York as an example again. There are multiple clubs in New York. There are multiple bars in New York. If you're a bisexual male, a bisexual female, there are bars that are targeted towards your sexuality. There's the Museum of Sex.
Yep.
You can make it a sex weekend. Go to some of the shops, the leather and latex shops. Everybody needs a vacation.
That's what we're going to be doing.
I know, right? I just described our week in January.
Yeah.
But do that, and the whole time you're keeping an open conversation with your partner.
Yeah.
That would be my pick.
That's actually a really good. I mean, it's kind of a throw yourself into the deep end, but it's also kind of a really good introductory, say a weekend or take 3 or 4 days and go do something like that and just kind of throw yourself into it. And the whole time, no expectation for anything, but just talk to your partner.
And you don't have to like it.
And
you really...
No, explore and say, oh, I really didn't like that, or I liked this, or
push
whatnot.
yourself.
Yeah.
That's my advice is, above everything else, don't become complacent with who you are or where your relationship is. Constantly push yourself. Let your partner push you, and let you push your partner healthily.
Yeah.
Where that boundary is. Just sort of take advantage of that boundary. Yeah, that's what I've got.
Excellent.
Okay, let's wrap this mother up.
Yeah.
So
where can we be found?
Where can we be found? So first of all, I want to thank our people. We have done a call recently for folks to review us on iTunes, on Stitcher, wherever you listen to us.
Yeah.
So a big shout out to the folks that have reviewed us.
We have a few.
We have Souls Rach. I can't say it. SULLS Rach. Souls Rach. Thank you so much for our wonderful review on iTunes. We have a best username ever, Pussy Galore, also reviewed us on iTunes, and we really appreciate it. Ozguy77, I think that was from Stitcher, so thank you very much. We really, really appreciate you guys.
Yeah. This is what helps us keep going.
This helps us keep going, and this also helps us get out to other people. I know Ozguy77 had said that there was some issues with the sound at the beginning. I hope you're still listening, because I hope we have fucking fixed that. We did have sound issues at the beginning.
Yeah, there have been some here and there.
We've been working on it. So yeah, we definitely appreciate our listeners. We appreciate y'all that are leaving reviews for us. We are starting a campaign. I started it on Twitter.
Okay.
So I haven't started it officially yet, but I've laid that seed. I'm planting my seed. I'm spreading my seed.
You like to do that, don't you?
Spreading my seed. We're going to give away one of the By the By hoodies. We will pay to ship it to wherever you are on Earth. I know, right?
Hopefully not Mars, because I hear that's pretty expensive shipping.
I said on Earth.
Yeah,
See, so you have to be on Earth.
Right.
So I'm sorry, International Space Station people. I hope you're listening to us.
We still love you.
So if somebody's on the International Space Station listening to us, I will totally send you a pod. You don't even have to win. Anyway, so for our folks who are leaving reviews for us, we're taking your username, or if you want to be anonymous, I totally respect that. But what you need to do if you want to get into this drawing is you need to leave us a review and then email us a copy of your review.
I also want to say that if you want to leave a review anonymously, you can do that.
Yes.
I'm not sure about Stitcher necessarily, but I know on iTunes you can put in a nickname. It doesn't have to be your actual username.
How do you do that? Do you remember?
It just popped up. Like if you go to leave a review, then it in the little box that pops up, it asks for a nickname, and so you can put in anonymous or whatever. It doesn't have to be your actual...
Come up with something more clever than anonymous, people. Come on, you're better than that.
It doesn't have to be your username. Yeah, because I've left reviews for podcasts before, and you can put in whatever you want. If you want it to be yourself, that's awesome. That's great. But if you don't, that's fine. We respect that. But we do really, really appreciate everyone who leaves us reviews, because it is good to see what people have to say and to know that it's worthwhile for us to do this, and also to reach other people. It helps get it out there to other people who want to hear and who may be interested in the same topics.
Yes, and we have plans in the works. Plans in the works, people,
Mm-hmm.
that may allow us to do public talks and presentations,
Yep.
and kind of open that up to where we get out and talk to people face to face, which would be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what we're going to do, send your username, whatever username you decide, and then your review. Email us. We'll do a drawing probably around Valentine's Day. We're going to give it a while because we want to look. If we
wanna
only
promote
get
this,
if we
yeah.
get 5 people, I ain't going to draw out of 5 people. But once we get like 15 reviews, that's when we'll be doing our draws. So, and then we'll get the hoodie to you. So, who doesn't
Yeah.
want to buy the hoodie?
Yeah.
And if you want, Mrs. Adam will wear it around for a little while and get her little naked breasts on it. Big naked breasts on it. She has nice breasts. Anyway, so, I know, right? I'm rambling about your breasts. Leave me alone. So, email us at theatomsoflove@gmail.com.
Mhm.
We recently changed our Twitter handle. We are now at By the By Podcast.
Mhm.
And you can find us on Facebook. By the By Podcast. Search that, all one word.
Mhm.
Or you can find us on our website, www.bytheby.com.au. And yeah, I think that's all the places you can find us.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So yeah, there you go.
Excellent.
So search for us.
Yeah.
Talk to us. Email us. And
We always
please,
do appreciate it.
Please comment. We try to reply to all of our emails within a very quick turnaround time. So yeah, we definitely appreciate y'all.
Excellent.
We'll
Thanks for
talk to you
listening to us here on By the By.